Kush's movie review.
Welcome one and all to a YouTube exclusive Kush's movie review, where Kush one by one reviews all of the best picture nominees from this year's Academy Awards, aka Oscars, aka Oscars So White. Oh yeah, we went there. We ain't scared. This video, we're talking about The Zone of Interest, the movie where people would create buildings and put things in them and call them zones of interest until someone was like, that's too long, and they decided to call them museums instead. It's the best I could do. It's
Wow.
yeah.
So you're not far off from that, actually,
Oh,
Mike Fish.
oh, tell me more.
uh, this is The Zone of Interest. We almost forgot this movie existed because when they have the list of 10 and you screenshot it, Z is at the bottom and also obscured by the do you want to go back button? Do you want to go home button? Do you want to do that other thing button? And then then you make announcements like, yeah, we're doing Oppenheimer next. So anyway, Oppenheimer is our last film still. The Zone of Interest is tonight. It is a PG-13 movie. It is 1 hour and 45 minutes. Kids, it's a long 105 minutes. Honestly, it really is. It's distributed by A24, and they are a very interesting distribution company this year. This is a foreign film. It's completely in German. It is co-produced by Poland and the United Kingdom, with the United Kingdom sponsoring this for Best International Picture, which somehow spun off into a Best Picture. By the way, it has two of those, foreign and domestic film. So this is directed by Jonathan Glazer. He had a hand in writing the adapted script, which is has a Best Adapted Screenplay nomination, and it is based on a book by a man named Martin Amis. I think I said his first name correctly, but yeah,
All
this has been a book for a
fantastic
while.
German names.
Yep. What this is about is a very high-ranking German officer within the SS division of the Nazi Party during World War II. He he lives, manages, and operates right outside of Auschwitz. So he has this illustrious palace. I mean, maybe a palace is too strong a word, but it's a lot of nice land. They got a little greenhouse. He has a 9-meter swimming pool, which is pretty big for World War II. That's excuse me, a 3-meter. How's that? 3-meter pool, 9 feet long. And guess what? The entire day, all they're hearing is screams and moans and agony and gunshots and babies being murdered because right over there, common wall, is the Nazi death camp Auschwitz. One of many, but that's the most popular. And this is the
Maybe that's
focus
not the
of
right
the
word to
movie.
use. Oh, that's the best one.
I didn't say it
That's
was
the
the
most
best one. I said it
popular.
was the
That's
most
where everyone
popular.
wants to go to.
It is the most documented one. It took in the most, and blah 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 blah. Yeah, just sit down on this one, Mike. Anyway, it stars Christian Friedland and last week's mention in the Anatomy of a Murder or Anatomy of a Fall, Sandra Huller. She is much better in Anatomy of a Fall. Um, yeah, again, this is trying to like let's do a movie about the Holocaust and let's try and paint it from a different narrative. What if we projected the life of the guy in charge of Auschwitz? And guess what? It's just a business to this guy. And again, all day long, they don't do anything grotesque or horrific or over the top. We'd never see anyone get killed in this, which is pretty crazy considering the subject matter. But again, all the moans and the agony and just the murder and the genocide in the background. But like, yeah, he'll be. They got a nice tight close shot of him, Mike Fish, and he's just looking off in the background. I was like, just another day at the office. And again, people are just crying in pain in the background. It's like Genocide is so mediocre to me. Like there's just thoughts in his head, and that's. But we stand long shots on that. We watch watch the wives get together, and they talk about like, oh yeah, like we got some of this Jewish toothpaste, and some chick hid a diamond ring in it. So order 12 more cases of that bitch. Like while this conversation is happening, the the maid of the house is sweeping up or mopping or setting up dishes for dinner later or whatever. Like there's a lot of just it's trying to present the Holocaust in a different light. I mean, everything is still horrible, but it's like, well, what if we told the story from this point of view? And it's dull. It's dull, dull, dull. I think I'm supposed to be horrified. I think I'm supposed to be titillated. I think I'm supposed to get enraged. Like, isn't this a terrible thing? There's 100 other movies like that already. Like, I'm not surprised by anything that happened in the Holocaust. So when I see this German officer act like a human being and like take care of his family and get worried when one of his kids has the flu and like goes, "Hey, babe, the company called and they said we're getting transferred to Albuquerque." And then she puts her foot down, like, "You better tell them we're not getting transferred to Albuquerque." And then he has to like abide by that. Like, none of this surprises me. Like, yes, this man that we're focused on, played by Christian so and so Friedland. Yeah, he plays a monster, but he's also just like, yeah, he's a family man, concerned about his kids. He's got wealth and some influence, so he's also banging the maid on the side. But then, like, there's a weird thing where like there's a secret door in the house, and he goes down like 2 kilometers in this weird maze where he has his own secret washroom so he can clean himself after he cheats on his wife. By the way, they're still sleeping in separate beds. It's 1942 or whatever year it's supposed to be. Like, it's this is a movie about the life of the Secret Service or whatever, the SS. I don't care. Steven Spielberg has said this is the greatest movie about the Holocaust since his movie. I didn't see Schindler's List because I wasn't a movie critic back then, but I already understood Holocaust bad. Like, yeah, can't say I'm a fan of this. The zone of interest, if you're wondering, it's the 40 squared kilometers outside of Auschwitz. That's the zone of interest, and they're living there. Um, one note, yeah. At one point, grandma comes home. That's mom's mom, and like any other mom whose daughter is married into a upper middle class house, she's very excited that her daughter has succeeded, marrying a very successful man. But then eventually she can't stand the gunshots and the screams and the sounds of gas going off just over this wall in the backyard. And eventually she just has to leave. Like, it keeps her up at night. It's just going on the entire time. So, yeah, I didn't enjoy this movie. It was complete homework. Everything about it is exhausting. Um, there's a scene where we actually visit modern day Auschwitz, which is just now a museum, going back to what you said earlier. And yeah, that fucking got a nerve risen out of me. Like, I don't know why that's still a thing. Whatever, not my place. So, uh, Zone of Interest, definitely not my favorite movie this year. I have nothing really nice to say about it. For some reason, we, Mike Fish, you ever watch CNN or Fox News or whatever cable news affiliate? And they're like, yeah, here's this terrorist mansion, and we got actual night vision shots of a missile hitting it.
Yep.
They take that camera, and without it lighting anything, they film a girl in night vision just planting. She's not planting potatoes, but she's stashing food away for the German or the Jewish guys who are about to die. And then it's a scene several times, and it's just like, all right, this is actually the most interesting shot, but you can't just light the scene. Like, this is just weird.
Yeah, it's not a
So
found footage movie. Just film it.
could be. Again, this is Jonathan Glazer. He directed a movie called Under the Skin. This is one of those movies where they got one of the most beautiful women in the world, Scarlett Johansson, convinced her to get naked and made it so sexy that no one talks about it ever. Uh, this is his first foreign language speaking film. He's an American filmmaker, but the entire movie's in German, co-produced between the Polish and the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom sponsored this for Best International Film, and it also got a not only a Best Picture, but a Best Director
Adapted
film,
screenplay.
Best Adapted Screenplay, and Best Sound. So I am not rooting for this. I believe I just said I gave this a 2 out of 5. I don't. I'm kind of mad that the only way I can see this is to go to the stab me by a hobo theater or buy it for $20. Not even rent it. I had to buy this on iTunes to review this today. I own this forever. This this bundle of joy is mine until iTunes expires.
So, well, on a plus, I purchased the Iron Claw on Amazon Prime,
Okay.
which
What
is
you think?
much better movie by the sounds of it than this.
Yeah. Yeah. But for again, what I saw of it, yes.
But yeah, they're very historically inaccurate in terms of timelines, the Iron
Mm-hmm.
Claw, but what it is, what it is. It's not a documentary, I guess.
No, this movie is supposed to be based on a true story, but at no point do they ever lean into that or do they ever mention it. Everything I got about this from IMDb trivia, like the girl planting food in the night vision, she's based on a real woman who's now 90 years old. Everything's on IMDb with that, so I take it with a grain of salt. Yeah, based on that, this is supposed to be based on a true story outside of a German guy lived outside of Auschwitz that ran it. This is supposed to be based on a real guy.
I'm guessing you're not going to get that feel good bit at the end. Normally, when they do based on a true story, where they show pictures of the real people, like no one's going to give a shit about that. These are the real people that ran Auschwitz. That fuck them.
So I think they did that with the footage of the modern day museum. Like there's literally just cleaning women cleaning the display cases, but the display case. The least offensive thing is the actual uniform. Like there's like 3 pairs of the uniform, but then like here's this whole display of like 40,000 children's shoes, and you're just like, oh fuck you. Here's 5 dozen suitcases with the names of people on it. Like, fuck you and your mother. Oh, here's some crutches and like some back. These are the disabled Jews that got murdered. This is what modern day medicine could afford them to walk like a normal human being, and then they got gassed anyways. And it's like, oh fuck you. I hated this movie.
Yeah, I don't understand it. Like, who thought it was a good idea? Hey, you know Auschwitz? You know the story of the Jewish genocide during the Second World War, where millions upon millions of Jews were murdered just for the sake because they were Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
How about we tell that story from a different angle? No, I don't want to hit. No,
I don't think they were trying.
Let's
to
try
be
to keep it PG 13. Let's try to keep the story of the senseless murder of millions of people, but keep it PG 13, please.
I don't think they're trying to do anything bombastic. I think they were literally trying to tell a story that I don't believe has been told. But at the same time,
because no one gives a shit about that story.
I definitely don't. But apparently, Steven Spielberg again says this is the best movie he ever made since my movie.
What? He's like in his 80s and he's losing it. He's going.
Yeah, I'm not going to just debate that.
Right, Steven Spielberg is starting to get to that point where it's like
he made a fifth Indiana Jones movie.
Every time he says something, someone's going to be like, oh, "Okay, granddad."
You'd think so. You'd think so. But anyways,
I used to make movies.
The Zone of Interest. Yeah. I thought this had something to do with the Holocaust, and then I was like, oh my god, this has a lot to do with the anyway. Not a fun time. Not a fun time whatsoever. One of the longest 105 minutes of my life. When I wasn't bored to death and not shocked, which I think I was supposed to be. Incredibly bored. So again, 2 out of 5.
Before we wrap up this story, these are little fun fun fact. I don't want to say fun fact. Connected to the story that you're telling. Maybe not fun fact. But recently, if you are watching this as this this review comes out. If not, I don't know. It's February 2024 as we're recording this, and WWE just recently had their pay-per-view event, Elimination Chamber, which they do every February. And I was only like yesterday years old when I found out that in Germany, the event is promoted as WWE No Escape. They don't use the name Elimination Chamber. And it was kind of like, for a split second, I wonder what. Oh, yeah, no, makes sense. Makes sense.
I love that is a very fun fact, actually. I love that. And again, that's what I do with the foreign movie posters on the Instagram account and the Facebook. Like sometimes a movie is just got a completely different name to it entirely. We did Land of Bad the other day on the Waffle Box, the original Waffle Box. You accept no substitutes because it is the best part of Wednesdays, coming to you all the way from the home of Super Bowl 60, where you love us because we do this, and we do this because we love you. So I got it way better this time, and stalled just long enough to say Zona de Risco, which is whatever. You don't know what that means here. But our French friends up in Canada call this territory hostile, which is just hostile territory. Way better goddamn name.
Yeah, I was saying, normally movies get a different name just because either the translation doesn't work or because in that territory, like Elimination Chamber changing to No Escape, that name doesn't work well, doesn't play in that territory. I'm pretty sure the French Canadians just changed the name because that's a dumb fucking name. We'll just change the fucking name.
I was telling you, like, it's this was about modern day life at the time, where like this guy could have been working at the Ford plant making cars. You know, at one point he's sitting down with people and like, so we got this idea, Mr. Auschwitz. Uh, it's a dual chamber, since you brought up the elimination chamber, and half of the chamber gets really hot, like 1,000 degrees hot. Everything in there incinerates, and then once that's done, it cools down. And as that chamber is cooling down, the other half gets really hot, 1,000 degrees, and it goes back and forth, and we can kill up to 700 Jews a day over a 7-hour period. What do you think about that? They might as well talk about like forming bumpers. Like it's just so homogenous. Like again, this I'm supposed to be shocked by all this, but I was just like, yeah, no, this was a business to this guy. This was everyday life. Like, he was just like, yeah, another day at the office. What are you gonna do?
That would be interesting.
Genocide. Genocide is really stinky. Oh boy.
Yeah. He's like, hey, you're a smart guy. You can create things. Yeah, I can create anything you want. Just give me the specs. Give me what you want. What do you want? Well, we want this giant thing. It's like 2 chambers next to each other. Okay, 2 chambers next to each other. Okay, yeah, let's see that. And one gets really, really fucking hot, while the other one's cool. And then once that one's cooling down, the other one's getting really hot. Okay, I see what you're doing. You want? Oh, like this? Yeah, I'm already thinking. I know how to do this. This is gonna be great. Yeah, and that way we can kill thousands of Jews. Wait, what? I'm sorry. The fuck? Crazy times, and still to think that was not even 100 years ago.
Not even 100 years ago. So I'm 45 years old. I've seen now every angle of the Holocaust. I get it. I don't think we should stop talking about it, but I would like to stop having it directed at me. Again, children in schools, all the schools, go all the way up to college. Tell all of them. But I'm done with the Holocaust. It's bad times. I don't enjoy it. I don't get anything off it. I'm not shocked by it. It happened. It was 70 years ago. I would like to move forward. I thought the most interesting thing we had about World War II was Godzilla Zero, when some guy who was a kamikaze pilot was just like, you know what? I don't feel like flying this perfectly good plane into a boat. I think I'm going to go over here. I thought that was maybe the last interesting thing we can do with World War II. I would like to move forward, please.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever felt comfortable watching anything to do with the Holocaust. I will say, actually, the only time, and this is going to sound really weird and geeky, I guess, the
Okay.
only time I've sat and watched a movie that featured heavily the Holocaust,
Mhm.
and it makes sense if that make like, but anyway, it was used very well. Was Magneto's origin story
Okay.
that was done
Yeah.
very well, very powerfully.
That 4 minutes is horrific enough. Again, a child
But
being
I think
separated
that
from
what
his
is
mother, and
because the Jewish guy very much so got his come up, not come up, he give revenge. He killed a bunch of those German
sure.
Nazis,
Hmm.
and then he
There's good
became.
movies out there, by the way. They're better than that 4 minute scene of the first X-Men and several X-Men because they used that a few times. Um, no, look, there's a movie on Netflix. I forget what it's called, but there was a Jewish boxer in the Holocaust camp, and guess what? He's such a good boxer. By the way, this man should be emaciated and malnourished, and I don't know how he's boxing anybody, but like he's taking on like the best Nazi boxers, and like man, he's just a really good boxer. Like, I gotta respect that guy. And like, it's not a bad movie, but at the same time, it's like, what? Really? I mean, just because he can perform it. Why don't we? Where's the basketball movie? Give me the basketball movie. Give me the soccer movie. Like, I think those are the only angles we're missing out on. Baseball, not so much a thing in Germany at the time, but they love their basketball and their soccer. Football.
I don't know. Like I say,
We've definitely trailed off. Let's get out of here, man.
we have trailed off, but I think we made a good point. I think we've had enough. Like, yes, we should never forget the atrocities that happened during the Second
Yeah,
World
no,
War.
still need
But
to talk
can
about
we
it.
stop trying to think of wacky and creative ways to try to tell the story? Just no, that's the story. It's a horrible fucking story. That's it.
The
The end.
content all exists. The existing
Right,
content
Jesus.
exists. Let's just stick with that. It ain't getting better. Let's not make it more graphic. It was terrible times. Next week we're talking Oppenheimer.
Ooh.
That's all, folks.
Play me off, Johnny.